them.
The therapists who helped me get back on my feet from hip surgery were awesome.
The only place to go in Ocala if you need rehab.
Seeing is believing, so stop by for a tour of Palm Garden today.
The entire world watched. They watched each step down the rungs of that small ladder, one after another, and waited with great anticipation for that last step.
It's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
At that moment, humanity saw the impossible become the possible. And today, the sky is not the limit. Achievement. Pass it on. A message from the Foundation for a Better Life.
The weather is brought to you by myfwc.com. Safe boating is no accident. On this Friday, sunshine mixing with clouds. Watch out for a thunderstorm this afternoon, high 86 to 90. Partly cloudy Friday night with a shower or thunderstorm in the area, low 68 to 72. For Saturday, times of clouds and sun with a thunderstorm popping up in the afternoon, high 86 to 90. On Sunday, times of sun and clouds with a shower or thunderstorm around, especially through the morning hours, the high 86 to 90. From the Florida Weather Center, I'm Joe Lund.
Hey, I'm Gary.
And I'm Eric. Did you know that Red Eye Radio is on WOCA The Source every night from 2 to 6 a.m. and it's live?
That's right. No tape shows here.
We know that the news doesn't sleep.
And neither do we. So we're here with you live from 2 till 6 a.m. every weekday. Call us 866-90-RED-EYE. So join me, Gary McNamara.
And me, Eric Harley, every weeknight to discuss the latest in news and entertainment.
Right here on WOCA The Source.
Ocala's information station, 1370 WOCA.
Ocala.
All right, 25 minutes before 10 o'clock. Thank you for tuning in the course of our lives, all of us. We all run into different things that are considered our vices, our weaknesses. We none of us are spared from any of those decisions, lifestyle choices, etc. I've known quite a few people who will today tell you they are alcoholics. However, they're not ever drunk. And the reason is because they still consider themselves alcoholics even after having the fortitude, I guess you would say, to stop drinking. They call themselves recovering alcoholics. In fact, Father O'Doherty, right?
Yes.
And I'm not picking on one person. I love Father O'Doherty over at the Catholic Church. Queen of Peace, one of the most admired, respected men in our community. But that's one of the things he'll say at the beginning of his radio broadcast, that he's a recovering sinner, a recovering alcoholic. He goes on through the whole list in his case. Marc Treitler is on the phone, and it takes a lot of courage, to say, I've had an issue. He is a successful corporate attorney, and he also happens to be a recovering alcoholic and a dad. He has a book titled, My Dad is an Alcoholic, What About Me? A Preteen Guide to Conquering Addictive Genes. This is his true story, and he's on the air to share it with us right now. And, of course, the book will tell you more. Marc Treitler, what an honor to have you on our show. Good morning, sir.
No, the honor's all mine. Good morning, Robin and Larry.
Good morning. And where are you?
I'm in sunny Southern California, where it's actually still dark, so I'm a little bit behind you.
6:37 in the morning there, right?
It is.
Wow. Well, thank you.
Another beautiful day in San Diego.
Thank you for getting up early. So how are you? So you don't drink anymore at all?
No, sir. It's been over 7 years, one day at a time, and feel very lucky to have gone down this path.
Did you? Was there something that happened that made you finally quit?
Yeah, that's the $1 million question for alcoholics and addicts and doctors. They can't tell you what will trigger that. For me, it was a seemingly innocent comment from my daughter, who should be listening now, and I took her to a daddy-daughter concert that I was really excited to go to, and when we got home, my wife asked my daughter, hey, how was the concert? And her comment was, Daddy drank a lot. And for me, that little comment tore up my gut, and a few days later, thankfully, I asked for help, finally, after 15 years, and some friends took me to rehab, and here we are.
Okay, talk about that just for a second, if you could. Why is rehab necessary? Why can we as humans not do this on our own? Why do we need somebody else's help?
That's the million-dollar question. And that's what makes this disease so difficult, and, the success rates are not very high. It's that you really can't do it on your own. It's your brain talks you out of it. And especially successful people who've been able to do everything on their own their entire lives. They tell themselves every morning, I can do this on my own, I can do this on my own. But the proof's in the pudding. The last 7 years since AA was invented and developed, that people get better in a group of others, and there's a lot of reasons for it. When you sit in a group of 30 people and you can discuss your feelings and how you feel overwhelmed by alcohol, you have somebody to talk to, and that's sort of the magic of the program.
Do you know, I think I have an addictive personality also. I've never been addicted to drugs, and I was never an alcoholic, but when I smoked cigars, I was doing it all the time. And other things in my life that are maybe not harmful, like anytime I've gotten involved in anything, I immerse myself in it to a point that's almost like a workaholic or whatever, a hobbyaholic, whatever it happens to be. And so it's interesting, the fact that you call it a disease, I want to ask you a question about that. Does recognizing it as a disease kind of serve as a first step?
Yes, in many different ways. For me, that was a huge relief in rehab. When I read and realized that there's a genetic link and there's a disease, there was a huge weight off my shoulder.
Yeah.
The guilt and the shame of hiding your actions for the last 10, 15 years was gone. I realized looking back that with my family history of addiction and alcoholism on both sides, I really had no chance of staying a normal drinker through college and in my fraternity and then through law school. And it was a huge weight lifted. So I think it does have a profound effect once you understand the medical link to it.
And so do you think this is hereditary?
Yeah, I don't think there's any doubt. I mean, in our country, the last few hundred years, it's been pretty evident where, grandpa was a drunk, dad was a drunk, and the son was going to be a drunk. It's just recently with science, the studies have backed that up. What we've all known forever is, the studies are pretty powerful. They show a 400% increase in likelihood of a child becoming alcoholic if it's in their genes. And then even more recently, in the last 10 years, with all the genome testing, a lot of that's done here in San Diego, actually. A lot of the genome testing, they've discovered genetic markings of what they think is a gene that contributes to alcoholism.
The dad in the title, is that your father or you?
No, that's me.
That's you. So you're talking from your child's point of view.
This book is actually written by my daughter and I, and then my lovely wife and my son did the illustrations. So each chapter is written by me and my daughter with her perspective, so she can talk to preteens.
Did you learn something that you didn't know because of the book? Did you find out something from your daughter that never even came up before? Because once you start writing a book, then thoughts start to flow.
Yeah, there was reading my daughter's passages to this day still choke me up a little bit. Thinking back about the actions and the damage that it does to children. I mean, even if you think you're hiding it, if there's an alcoholic or an addict in the house, and there's drama with the wife and the spouse and fighting, it affects the kids. So yeah, it's very eye-opening.
Can I ask you a personal question? Was there something in your younger days? Are you a veteran? Was there something that may have contributed to this?
Unfortunately or fortunately, depending on how you look at it, no. I had a normal childhood. Dad's a lawyer, mom was a teacher. Had a sister, pets, the nice house, the pool. It's a good question though. When I was in rehab with 30 other people, we would go around the room with the counselors, and there was 5 to 10 of us who didn't have any trauma. Certainly, trauma can contribute to someone covering their the coping skills.
I'm not going to ask you a question because your daughter is listening, but I'm going to tell you me. When I was younger, man, I used to look at Playboy magazine. And we all know why. But the thing about Playboy magazine was that they had lots of ads in there for vodka and whiskey and things like that. and they made them look, I don't know if you want to say sexy, but they made them look desirable. You know, you know what it also did? It made it look like if you had that product, you were chic in some way. You were hip, you were styling, you were cool, right? And I don't know if that advertising I'm not blaming anybody for anybody else's behavior, but I could easily see how, as we are young people and we're starting to, explore our world, we get attracted to things, and sometimes other things are associated with those things. In this case, it was a magazine.
Yeah, well, first of all, Larry, since my wife's listening, I don't even know what Playboy is. But that said, no, I mean, I think you imitate the behavior around you when you're a child. I mean, how many of us remember our family events when we were 10? There's alcohol everywhere, or family barbecues. There's alcohol everywhere. Brunches, there's champagne, and there are mimosas. And then on the media, you're right. Movies, unless you're watching Flight or leaving Las Vegas and see the downside of alcohol, it's glamorized.
Yes, right. How
watch a Monday Night Football game?
How were you different when you were drunk? Were you angry? Were you funny? How were you different?
I think that'd be a good question for my wife, but I wasn't really the angry drunk. I mean, certainly. Since alcoholics really only have one coping skill, which is drinking. When there was anger or a conflict at home or at work, alcoholics don't know how to cope with things. So the anger grows and grows rather than a normal person being able to deal with it and discussing their feelings. So I personally was more of a I was, unfortunately or fortunately, I was fairly normal. In fact, when I went to rehab, maybe other than my wife and a couple other people, no one knew I had a drinking problem. Us alcoholics, we can hide things very well from our closest friends, family, and coworkers.
Did it affect your work at all, though?
I'm sure it did. I'm sure I'm a lot more productive now, but I was one of those, quote, functioning alcoholics, which can have a significant downside because you're telling yourself, well, I still have a job, I still have a house, I still have a car, family, so I'm not a drunk. That guy on the street that's sleeping with a bottle in his hand, he's the drunk. Or my uncle that doesn't have a job or any money or a bank account, he's the alcoholic.
So you said they didn't notice when you were drunk. Did they notice when you were sober? And 7 years ago, after you quit, did they start to notice? Did you start to notice changes that you can talk about?
Yeah, I hear that from a lot of people, and obviously it's easier from someone on the outside to see changes than me seeing it. But the one big thing you realize through recovery is it's not just the drinking, which is obviously hard enough itself, but it's learning how to cope with emotions. Like I said, alcoholics and drug addicts have one coping mechanism. When they're happy or sad or stressed or there's a lot of anxiety, they drink or use drugs. So being able to cope with those emotions. I remember it was a couple months after rehab, and there was something silly at home with one of my kids, and they went upstairs. It was a tiny little fight, and I started crying. And it was a strange thing. It was just the emotions coming back after masking them for 10, 15 years.
Since this was written with your daughter, what kind of advice does she have in there to the children her own age? I know she's not a child now. To the people her own age.
Well, she's still a child to me. She's 15, but
yes.
No, she has some great advice.
Oh, she's only 15. Oh my gosh.
She's 15 now. Yeah, she wrote most of this when she was 12 and 13, but she's just 15 now in high school.
Wow. Well, you know what? I'm so happy to hear that, actually, because it means you still. I thought maybe she grew up and you never defeated this disease. But now I know that she's 15. You're a father, and she's 15. Oh my gosh, that's wonderful. That she's got you now at this point in her life.
Yeah, I mean, I was very lucky with the timing and a lot of things, and I feel very lucky that my kids, the majority of their childhood, I've been sober. I mean, my son. I don't even think my son, who's 13 now, remembers me drinking.
Oh, that is really good. I'm so glad about that, Mark. You are being so honest with us and so. Gosh, I think you're helping so many people with this book and this little conversation on the radio. Hang in there. Just take a little break with us. We have to catch up on the weather, but we'll be back, Mark. The book is called My Dad is an Alcoholic, What About Me? It's a preteen guide to conquering addictive genes. Marc Treitler is telling his very honest and humbling and candid story, and the book is written with his daughter, Leanna, right? Leanna, do I have that right?
Yeah, Leanna.
Leanna, okay. All right, and your son, did you say your son illustrated? Who illustrated it?
Yeah, my wife and son, Bennett and Rowena, they did all the
oh my
all the
gosh.
drawings. There's
Oh my
drawings
gosh.
throughout of a peanut and a potato.
I'm going to look it up during the break. All right, we'll take a little break and be right back with Mark. We'll be right back.
The weather is brought to you by myfwc.com. Safe boating is no accident. On this Friday, sunshine mixing with clouds. Watch out for a thunderstorm this afternoon, high 86 to 90. Partly cloudy Friday night with a shower or thunderstorm in the area, low 68 to 72. For Saturday, times, clouds and thunderstorm pop in the afternoon, high 86 to 90. On Sunday, times of sun and clouds with a shower or thunderstorm around, especially through the morning hours, the high 86 to 90. From the Florida Weather Center, I'm Joe Lundberg.
Hello, gorgeous.
Hi, this is Becky at Hello Gorgeous Salon. Let's get rid of those sun-damaged ends and faded out color and get into something rich and vibrant. It's time to get that new look started. So call today and set up your appointment at Hello Gorgeous Salon, 351-5358. Hello Gorgeous is a certified Brazilian blowout salon. We can tame those locks, leaving your hair healthy and shiny with a Brazilian smoothing treatment. And whether you're going on a job interview or out on a date, your hands do a lot of talking. Manicures are a must. Hello Gorgeous is a full-service salon, so let us help you make a great first impression. Call us today to set your appointment at Hello Gorgeous. Our number is 352-351-5358. Again, that's 352-351-5358. Hello Gorgeous is conveniently located in the heart of downtown Ocala, right next to the historic Marion Theater. And don't forget, we also do men and children's cuts too.
Hello, gorgeous.
Central Florida Eye Institute is the area's leader in laser vision correction. From high-definition refraction surgery and LASIK vision correction to custom cataract, glaucoma, and diabetic treatment, you can count on Dr. Crowley and his effective, friendly staff to provide you with the quality care you deserve. Call 352-237-8400 for an appointment or more information. That number again is 352-237-8400. Looking forward to service your vision needs.
You've got a garden and we've got a show for you called You've Got a Garden with your host, Master Gardener Carol Ann Baldwin. Carol Ann answers your questions, flowers, your veggies, your grass, your trees, even questions about your bugs. And she's only on WOCA, so don't miss Carol Ann Baldwin and You've Got a Garden each Tuesday from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. right here on WOCA, The Source.
All right, 9 minutes before 10 o'clock. Thank you for tuning in. Gosh, it's a beautiful day. I see the gardeners out there. It's autumn, but it's Florida, so it doesn't feel like autumn. And our guest is in another beautiful part of the country, San Diego. Got up early to talk to us about his book, Marc Treitler. And not just about his book, but about what the book is about, which is his life. He gave up drinking 7 years ago, recognized that he was an alcoholic. He and his daughter, who we learned is 15 years old, Leanna, wrote this book. And in a way, some of this is because of her perspective. And Mark shared with us some really personal and candid things about what it was like for him and how he was able to defeat alcoholism. Mark, do you ever, so you don't drink a beer, you don't go near alcohol at all anymore, huh?
No, that's a very slippery slope there. I've heard enough stories of alcoholics trying to, thinking they have it licked.
Yeah.
They'll go back and they'll have one beer, which will be fine. A couple of days later, they'll have two, three, and they're right back at it. It's a progressive disease that doesn't go in reverse while you're abstaining.
And is there anything in the book that your daughter wrote, part of how she helps children her own age cope with this, with their parents?
Yeah, there's a lot of she's a wonderful kid. There's a lot of insight in there about how to deal with peer pressure, who to talk to, don't be ashamed of this, and sort of the entire purpose of the book is to educate preteens before they start drinking that they have a disease. Just like if you look at the cover of the book, there's a peanut. They have a disease just like a kid with a peanut allergy. So don't be ashamed of it. When you go to a party and someone has a peanut allergy, they cook food without peanuts. So our movement is to the potato representing vodka, obviously.
Was that your drink?
Well, at the end it was because you can't smell it. So that's a very common.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you can't tell.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
So
Yeah,
when
I'm
you
looking at
watch
the cover of the book. I was trying to figure out the peanut and the potato.
Yeah, it's a that's the concept, and there's a little potato wristband, and that's the concept throughout it. It's why is the potato allergy not getting any respect, and the peanut allergy gets all the attention, whether you're on an airplane and someone has a peanut allergy, or you're in a classroom, and we're trying to make it something that a young child can relate to, make it relatable.
And you had said that the proceeds go to a charity?
Yeah, we set up a 501(c), and this all the proceeds from the book or donations, we accept donations online. It all goes back into trying to get the message to kids.
Wow. Well, I can't tell you how many people we know who are productive people in our community, admirable people, respectful people who have similar stories of having given up alcohol or drugs in some cases and straightened out their lives.
I noticed Glenn Beck's on your station. He talks about his.
That's right.
Over 15 years as well.
That's right. He sure does. He has done that. So, was there anything else that, okay, I know a guy who says I used to drink and I used to curse and I don't do either anymore. Mm-hmm. Was there any other behaviors that you did?
Well, certainly I haven't cut down on the cursing, but
that's funny.
And I think my wife would tell you I'm a workaholic, so the addiction has gone to a healthy addiction. No, I was I was fortunate enough through a couple incidents and some smart doctors not ever to dive into drugs like a lot of people do. But really, there's no difference if you're an addict and you're putting alcohol in your system, or you're putting Xanax and heroin. It's the same. It's the same activity.
Yeah. If you think about what you did something because you love your family, you love your daughter, and that is. I mean, if you think about that one moment that you shared with us earlier, where after coming back, she said Daddy was drinking a lot. Oh my gosh! The reaction you had to that, says that you love your family. That's awesome.
Yeah, and you have to really, there's no magic formula here, or nobody would be an alcoholic, but I really think you have to love other things more than the drinking. There has to be something,
yes.
Like when you have interventions, the threat of losing everything.
Oh, yeah.
And that was, I can tell you for the last 7 years I wanted to stop drinking. So It wasn't just, that was the first time. That was just what it took for me. And, you hear in all the movies about hitting rock bottom. I guess that was my bottom. Some people end up in the hospital or in a mental institution.
Could have been worse.
Lose everything.
Yeah, you could have hit. You could have hit a deeper bottom, a different part of the ocean, or whatever. Whatever metaphor we want to use.
Do you go around and do speaking engagements, like to different clubs and organizations in your community?
We're starting to with this book, which is just coming out this summer. But yeah, the more people that get the message, the more success we're having in this movement. And the first day I went into rehab, I was struck with this information about being a disease and genetic. And from that day on, I was convinced that would help children avoid the disease. And there was actually a New York State study done about 10 years ago that just identified this. They surveyed children with the gene, the alcoholic gene. They looked at one group that had no knowledge of the higher propensity to become an alcoholic, and the other group that did, and there was like a 300% difference in the amount of alcohol consumed by those children. So our thought is, if one little piece of information can have a 300% difference, what can an entire movement do?
Do you stay away from social events or social venues where there is drinking? Or are you okay with going out and having a good time, drinking soda?
I did initially, and that's a terrific question, because I talk to a lot of current alcoholics that are scared to go to rehab and get sober, and that's one of their biggest fears is, how will I live with my family, my friends, and work parties? If you're really doing the program right, and you're really doing it for the right reasons, and you're following the guidelines in the AA Big Book, for me it's not a problem. For a lot of people it is, and then you just have to avoid the situations, or your spouse shouldn't have alcohol in the house. If you were an alcoholic like I was, or a lot of people, if you get drunk, you're going to die. So you got to put that first.
Are your parents still alive?
They are.
Yeah.
They are. My dad's still working, and my mom's a retired teacher.
So they must be happy that and they must have noticed. Has that conversation taken place between you and them?
Oh, sure. And my poor parents have a lot of experience in this. My sister was in rehab a decade before me, and my mom's entire family, brothers and sisters, other than her, they're littered with decades of alcoholism and drug abuse. So they weren't too surprised when my wife told them I was in a local rehab here, but they're obviously very happy. We're trying to spread this message and break the addiction cycle, because it overwhelmed my mom's entire family.
Well, every agency in our community that's listening to this interview, I would recommend that you get the book. We don't really recognize, I don't think, or not. We haven't talked about it that much anyway. The connection with child or adolescent substance abuse, and not that the adolescents are the ones abusing the substances, but they're being affected by somebody else, and maybe they are too, or maybe they're just getting started. So get this. I know we have several different agencies here in our community that help people who are struggling with alcohol abuse.
Yeah, and we'd be happy to donate books to some of those agencies. And just one stat on what you said: if a child starts drinking before the age of 18, they're 5 times more likely to become an alcoholic than if they wait.
Really?
So there's some real powerful reasons to intervene early.
Mark, that was a powerful interview you just gave us. Thank you for getting up early to do it. I went to Amazon. That's where I found the book. Do you want to give us the website? I've only got 15 seconds.
PotatoAllergy.com. So visit PotatoAllergy.com to get a free wristband, to order the book, or to have your kids talk with peers in the same situation.
Oh my gosh, PotatoAllergy.com. The book again, My Dad is an Alcoholic. Mark spells his first name M-A-R-C. Mark Treitler. Thank you, Mark. We'll be right back.
Fox News Radio, I'm Lillian Wu. President Obama heading home from Jerusalem, where he joined dignitaries from around the world in paying tribute to former Israeli President Shimon Peres.
I would be the 10th U.S. president since John F. Kennedy to sit down with Shimon, the 10th to fall prey to his charms.
French President Francois Hollande, Britain's Prince Charles, and Spain's King Felipe attended the service. Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas also paid a rare